This video is a part of the A to Z series of Python language where I go through all the built-in functions of Python starting with letter M, with a description of how to use them. The imported library functions and classes are returned using these built-in functions only. So you can consider this as a foundation of the entire Python language. If you have landed directly on this video, you can check out the entire playlist in the iCard above or through the link in the description. Otherwise, watch this video till the end as I will also give real project examples where these functions might be useful wherever I can. My name is Aditya Shenoy from Brainy Things, where I make programming simple and fun. YouTube statistics show that a small percentage of you who watch my videos are actually subscribed to this channel, so if you end up liking this video, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind in future. The first function is the map function. It takes at least two parameters. It applies the mapping function to each of the elements in the iterable and returns the mapping result of each element in a resultant iterable. So I will call the map function, and the first parameter is the mapping function. So for this example, I will use the built-in function len. The second parameter can be any iterable. I will use a list of strings Python and Brainy Things. What this map function will do is that it will call the len function by passing each element of the iterable in it. So the first call will be len. Inside this, it will pass a string of Aditya, and the value that is returned by this function is stored in the resultant iterable. In this case, it will be 6. And it will again call the len function with this parameter and then this parameter. And all the results are stored in a final iterable. So if I run this code, it will return me a map object. To actually see the output, we need to convert it to a human readable iterable. So in this case, I will just convert it to a list so that we can read the output. And as you can see, the final list is the length of all the elements inside this list. You can also pass a lambda function as the first parameter if you want to define a custom mapping function. So I will call list of map of lambda keyword. This lambda function should take only one parameter, and that will be the elements of the iterable. So I will name it as x, and I will return the same string but reversed. I'm using the slice operator. I will give a detailed explanation about the slice function and slice operators later in this series. For now, we will focus on the map function. And the second parameter again will be a list of strings. I will just copy this list, and if I run this, as you can see that all the elements in the list are just the reversed form of the original list. You can also pass multiple comma separated iterables, which can be lists, tuples, or any other sequences. So list of map of, let's skip the first parameter for now, and the second parameter will be a list of any random number 1, 3, 8, 4, and 5, and the third parameter will be a tuple. It can be any sequences 6, 5, 8, 2, 1, like this. So we are passing two iterables to the map function. The function or the lambda function in the first parameter should take a number of parameters that match the number of iterables we are passing to the map function. So in this case, we will have two parameters, x and y. When we were having only one iterable inside the map function, we were having only one parameter. So this fact is consistent with the previous case as well. So in this case, what map function will do, it will extract the first element of all the iterables inside this comma separated list, and then it will call this function by passing each of these elements inside this function as a parameter, and the value that is returned will be stored in the final list. So for this example, I will just return the product of the element-wise product of these both iterables, and if I run this, I will get 6, 15, 64, 8 and 5, which are element-wise multiplications of these numbers. Now some of you might wonder what will happen if we pass iterables of different sizes. So let's see, by removing one element from this, the map function will stop as soon as the shortest iterable exhausts. So in this case, the shortest iterable is this, so it will completely ignore this element and just proceed with the first four elements of this and return a final list based on this. Map function is very common in data science applications as we have to apply some functions to the entire data in a column. Map function is also used to convert an iterable of one type to another. Say an iterable of strings can be converted to an iterable of integers. There are various uses of this map function, so you will want to know this function very well. The next function is the max function. It returns the maximum value from the options provided in the parameters. If there are multiple maximums, then this function will return the first maximum element found. If we pass an iterable to this function, it will return the maximum of all the elements in this iterable. In this case, it is 5. Note that in this case, although it is hard to tell, the answered return is this element and not this element, because this is the first maximum element found. We can also pass an iterable of strings like this. I will pass some strings inside this list, Python, and bring things. In this case, max function will return the string which is the last if we arrange the elements in an alphabetical order. So this will return Python, as in a dictionary order, Python will come last. But what if we don't want to decide the maximum element by this criteria? Let's say I want to decide the maximum element by the length of the string. In such cases, you will pass an optional parameter key to this function, which should be a function that returns a value that can be compared. So I will copy this line and pass a key parameter which will be length in this case. And if I run this, now I will get brainy things because that is the longest string in this iterable. There is one more optional parameter which is the default value. This parameter only comes into picture when the iterable passed is empty. So I will call max, pass an empty iterable and pass default keyword as 0. Now it returns me 0 value because this is iterable, this is an empty iterable and there is no maximum elements as such, so it will just return me the default value. If this default value is not present, it will lead to an value error like this. Apart from passing an iterable, we can pass 2 or more values directly to this function as a parameter. So max 4, 5, 6, 3, and it will still return me 6. Notice that we have not passed a list of numbers, we had just passed these numbers as the parameters of this function. In this case too, we can use the optional key parameter. So I will copy this line and paste it over here and remove the list, and it will still return me the brainy things. Max function is very useful in various applications. You might want to find the maximum value in a column of a data science application. You might want to use this max function for some logic in an algorithm. This function is handy, and as this is a built-in function, it makes it very easy to use. The next function is the memory view function. To understand this function, we have to see how Python allocates memory to objects. So I will create an bytes object. I will pass a string abc, pass the encoding UTF-8, and then I will use the slice operator like this. And if I run this, it will return me the output as expected, nothing so special. But when we run the program, Python creates multiple copies of the original bytes object and then print the slice of the bytes object like this. But there was no need to make copies. We were just reading data from this object. Now this bytes object is small, so it doesn't matter. But imagine this B object now carries a very high resolution image. Now if you consider this slicing as the cropping operation, just imagine how much memory needs to be allocated if we follow this approach. Now we can use the memory view function. So I will copy this entire thing, and before operating the slice operator, I will create a memory view object, and I will pass the bytes or byte array object to this function. It will return me a memory object. Now you can use the slice operators on this memory view object normally. So I will convert all B to MV to apply slice operators on the memory view object, and after applying slice operators it will still return me memory object. And if required, you can allocate new memory to this object by passing this memory view object inside a bytes function. Say I want to allocate memory to this slice, so I will pass the memory view object inside the bytes function, and it will create a new bytes object inside the memory. Memory view can be used to modify the object in the same memory as well. This prevents creating multiple copies when we want to alter only some elements of the byte sequence. Bytes is immutable, so for this case I will use the byte array function. B is byte array string of abc utf-8, and I will again create a memory view of this byte array object, and I will change the element at one index to 74. 74 is the ASCII value of capital J, and if I print B object, it will return me a byte array, but it states that it has the value of AJC. Notice that I am modifying the element of the memory view and then printing the original object, and the change is reflected in the original object as well, which shows that this memory view works on original memory location instead of creating copies. This is an advanced function. You will find this useful when you are trying to optimize large-scale programs for space and time. I am saying time because creating copies not only takes space but also time to copy data from one memory location to another. When your RAM limit is getting full by your program, or the program is running too slow and you suspect this is because of the memory operations, then you can consider using this memory view function. The next function is the min function. It returns the minimum value from the options provided in the parameters. If there are multiple minimums, then this function will return the first minimum element form. If we pass an iterable to this function 1 2 1 3 5, it will return the minimum of all the elements in this iterable. Note, in this case, although it is hard to tell, the answer returned is this first element and not this element, because this is the first minimum element form. We can also pass an iterable of strings inside this min function like this, and it will return me Aditya string, which is the first string if we arrange the elements in an alphabetical order. So it will return me Aditya, as in a dictionary order Aditya will come first. But what if we don't want to decide the minimum element by this criteria? Let's say I want to decide the minimum element by the length of the string. In such cases, you will pass an optional parameter key to this function, which should be a function that returns a value that can be compared. So I will copy this, paste it over here, and pass an optional keyword key equal to length. And it will still return me Aditya, but in this case it is not because of the alphabetical order, but it is because of the length of the string. Notice that this is also is 6 length string, but as discussed before, minimum function returns the first minimum element found in the list. So this will return me Aditya. There is one more optional parameter, which is the default value. This parameter only comes into picture when the iterable past is empty, like this case. So we can pass a default value 0, and if the iterable is empty, it will return the default value. If we don't pass this default value, it will raise a value error like this. Apart from passing an iterable, we can pass 2 or more values directly to this function like this, and it will return the minimum value of this comma separated parameters. We can also pass the optional key parameter like this, and instead of passing an iterable, I am just passing the elements as comma separated, and it will still return me the same output as before. Min function is very useful in various applications. You might want to find the minimum value in a column of a data science application. You might want to use this min function for some logic in an algorithm. This function is very handy, and as this is a built-in function, it makes it very easy to use. So these were all the built-in functions that start with letter M. If you ended up liking this video, please press that like button, comment any feedback that you have for this video or this channel, share this video with your friends. The code that I write in all my videos of this channel is available in my GitHub profile, whose link is in the description. You can connect to me via LinkedIn, whose link is again in the description, and I will see you in the next video.